Ladies and gentlemen, my name is David Ruff. I operate in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And so we operate a brokerage here that deals with houses all over the greater Toronto area. We have gained a lot of clients over the past few years. So we work in other provinces as well. And we even consult for people in the United States and in Europe. So, we've been around the real estate game for a long time. We operate 4 companies in Canada. And I got to tell you, math is math, right? Math doesn't care about borders, doesn't care about anything. But we have been inundated with DMs and with phone calls and with emails about people concerned about this inflation. They are petrified about what's happening. I am very scared about it as well. But I think that we got to get into this and talk about where I think it's going and what I see in the market. Let's get into it. All right, you guys, today's going to be a different kind of video. Okay. So I'm not going to show you any charts or dazzle you with anything. This is just like a heart to heart. I'm concerned as well for what we're seeing in the market, and I see some dark clouds on the horizon. So I think there's 3 main things that we have to be looking at. So as we know that if you lower rates, home prices go to the moon, and if you jack rates up, you're putting out that fire. It's kind of the only mechanism that the government has. So they're kind of driving blind in a car, and they can't steer it, but they can adjust the gas pedal or the brake pedal, and that's interest rates. And that's pretty much all they can do. But there's a lot of things that have changed this year. And these are what I'm seeing what's happening in the market. Number one, I would put this at the top, sticky categories. Okay. So when home prices go up, and say at the beginning of the recession, this past recession during the pandemic, home prices skyrocketed because they lowered rates to near zero. It doesn't mean that rents instantly track the same number. It doesn't happen. There's about a 2-year delay. 2 years, because it takes that long for people to be moving out of their units or having kids or downsizing. And by the time they move out, and then rents reset between tenants, it takes time for the new averages to take place. But right now, 2 years later, we are seeing rents on fire, massive fights for it, 8, 10 offers, sometimes going $100, $200 over. So this is what I mean by sticky categories. Okay. So rent takes a couple years to happen. Now, this interest rate hike that just happened in the past little while, okay, the past couple months, and I know a lot has happened, but this rent that has gone up, even if the government leaves it alone and doesn't do anything. Listen, the US 30 years is their mortgage term, and it's the most common product. In Canada, the longest mortgage is offered is like 10 years, but we barely use that. It's usually the 5-year one. So even if they leave the rate exactly where it is today and don't touch it for 5 years, everyone that has a mortgage in Canada, almost everyone, will renew. And they have to renegotiate their rate at that time. Right today, if they just left the rate, all of these people cannot afford these new rates. If they left the rates here, it would create absolute havoc, because you're going to have thousands of people every day renewing their mortgage and coming to grips with this new reality. So experienced investors really understand the implication of interest rates, but most first-time buyers have no clue. I cannot even tell you how many clients that we're having, our agents are having, where people are so excited that the home prices have fallen 30%. Some cases 40%. They're so excited about this because they're like, I'm going to buy a great deal. But they are shocked when they talk to their mortgage broker and find out that their payments are going to be $1,000 more than what they were in January. So remember, if you're buying a home and it's not cash, you're not buying a home, you're buying a payment. And if the payment is higher, you haven't saved anything. So it is kind of really crazy to me that we're going to see the implications of this in the next year or so. Though the rates have gone up really quick, all that's being felt right now is the initial buyers that are happening right now. There's no buyers right now. Okay, so that is what you're seeing in the news. What you're not seeing is this tsunami that's coming, as everybody is going to be renegotiating their rates, and they're going to not be able to pay for it. People don't have $1,000 more a month just lying around to cope with the new interest rates. So that will put massive pressure on homes. That's the first thing, sticky categories. Second thing is going to be loan value. All right. So in Canada, the states, depending where you live, the governments have certain criteria. So where I live, if it's under $500,000, you only have to put 5% down if it's your home. If it's between 500,000 and a million, you have to put 10% for that section. But if it's a million over, you have to put 20% down on your home. If it's an investment, you have to put 20% down on a property. Okay. But the bank has something that they use to measure your TDSR, total debt servicing ratio. Okay. Total debt servicing ratio. That is what they're looking at. And they have these math calculations on how much they think that you can afford. So what we're seeing today is in an environment where home prices are crashing and interest rates are going up, the banks are no longer giving you the same loan to value, LTV. They're not doing that anymore. So legally speaking, yes, they may be able to give you an 80% mortgage, but we're seeing that go away. We are seeing so many more 60%, 70% mortgages, where now you have to come up with 30 or 40% of the purchase in cash. This is slowing down the market because the banks are not willing to lend. We had a client that just they wanted $1 million of secure collateral just for a $250,000 loan. Crazy. So as these loan to values, as their ratios are changing, the amounts that they'll lend you is going down and down and down. So it's going to be lower prices on homes. Another aspect that we are seeing right now is the food crisis. Now you're seeing this in the news a lot, but people, I don't think, are paying attention to this tsunami that is coming for us. I want you just to think about this in a very large picture way. Imagine you had a very, very rich owner of a company, and he says, I'm going to hire out someone to clean my home. I'm going to hire out somebody to go and make my food for me. Okay. So he hires out those things. What has happened in Canada and Europe and the United States, we have now exported a lot of the smaller jobs like growing food to some other countries. And now the world system depends on countries like Russia to produce food and Ukraine to produce food, and Canada imports a lot of its food. Now that this globalized system is falling apart, Russia no longer wants to make food. They're burning all of the crop fields in Ukraine. They're not planting, of course, they're in a war. There's many countries who have banned the export of food or fertilizer. We have China doing that, Indonesia doing that. As you saw as well, look what's happening in Sri Lanka, that the whole country is breaking apart. A food crisis is coming. Proof of that is that the prices are going up. If there's a lot of something, the prices will come down. That's it. So because the prices are going up, it's proving to you that that is a problem. Now, my heart goes out because as the prices go up here in Canada, the States, or some countries, if the prices go up where you are, you're fortunate you have some, because there's poorer countries that cannot afford to pay the high prices and they will go hungry. And I feel it's terrible injustice that some people have to go to bed hungry at night. So my heart bleeds for them. And I wish that the world could come together and figure out a better way to feed everybody. But we're talking about real estate right here, but I feel so bad. But about real estate, all of history, food costs are normally 30%. 30% of the average income is used for food. As of the early 2000s, we started to be able to get mass amounts of food grown in other areas of the world, and they would now import this, okay? So we were fortunate to see food prices come down and down and down to only 15% of our average incomes. 15%. So when the governments are looking at this and the banks are looking at this, they're saying, okay, if you only pay 15% for food and taxes are going to be 30%, and then they can figure out how much you can afford on your home. If the food prices keep going up, the government, just say it goes from 15 historical average where we've been the past 20 years and starts creeping toward that 30%. Maybe we hit 20, 25% of an average. If that happens, which we already see happening, the bank is going to change its calculation for its total debt servicing ratio. Remember TDSR? They're going to change that and make it so that you can borrow less money for your home. Same wage, and you'll be able to borrow less. So a lot of people are shocked when they go to the bank and go, I know that I'm allowed to have an 80% mortgage on my home, but you'll be shocked when you go to the bank and can't get that. So we are in for some rough times. The good news, I don't want to just be doom and gloom. There always has to be a time that the bill has to be paid. We got a lot of money during the recession, during this pandemic, during this time. Companies, people, everyone got it. Now, this is the bill that has to be paid. There are going to be rough times. I believe that. I think home prices will be going down into the fall and possibly, through that winter. As soon as we find out how much food the Northern Hemisphere was able to grow, we're going to find out where we're going to go. So we should get those numbers in September and October. Once we find those numbers out, we can kind of gauge where the winter is going to go. If the economy really rolls over, we can expect to see the governments take back rates and start retracing their steps, if history is any guide. So we don't know, but that's what I would expect to see. So if I was a cash buyer, I would be waiting a while. If I was going to sell, today is a time that I would think about selling, because I think the prices are pretty good right now and they're going to be going down. If you were thinking of buying right now, well, now is where you really have to do some soul searching, some digging to figure out where you're going to be. Anyway, these are my thoughts right now. Do you think I'm crazy? I'd love to hear it. If you think I'm right, leave me a message below and tell me that you think I'm right. If you think I'm wrong, I'd love to know why. Please leave a comment below and let me know why. And as always, if this even helps one person that you know, please send it over. Please remember to like and subscribe. I'm here for you every day. I hope you have a great night. I'll see you on the next video.